12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The Pan-African Bliss Show.
Yes, massive wagwan. Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother there. Reaching out to all the massive on the African continent. And you're tuning into the Pan-African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Joby, from Monday to Friday. Stay tuned. Andrew Robinson, love respecting lessons. Big up, massive.
I don't need a gangster, I'm one. I spent 40 racks on a chain, 10 racks on my wigs. That's why I'm looking better than your bitch. My nigga, I'm lit. I don't need a gangster, I'm one. You brought 10 racks, I bought 300,000. I got 3,000, but I'm legit, baby. I got drip power, but it ain't cheap, baby. South City, baby. I'm cheeky, baby. If you want me to show up, then make me, baby. If anyone wants to get a friend, do not tell her. Cause I rap the girl and I rock her fella. All I'm just is you there. Look, even when the man them shook. I don't need a gangster, I'm one. I spent 40 racks on a chain, 10 racks on my wigs. That's why I look better than your bitch. My nigga, I'm lit. I don't need a gangster, I'm one. You brought 10 racks, I bought 300,000. I got 3,000, but I'm legit, baby. I got drip power, but it ain't cheap, baby. South City, baby. I'm cheeky, baby. If you want me to show up, then make me, baby. If anyone wants to get a friend, do not tell her. Cause I rap the girl and I rock her fella. Boy, I'm just as rude as I look. Even when the man them shook. All I do is flip that paper. Flip it like a page in a book. I ain't even taking a look. Niggas know to pay me in full. Are you trying to take charge when you ain't the plug? You know who I be. I don't need no buzz. Bitch try to take me for a mug. I'm a deck on the road like a bus. I be rolling with the thugs. All that jollof fries to the lugs. Run from a long mile with the drugs. Smoke the whole Z on my one. What the fun, bitch? Share will be the minus on the one. Fuck, flicking in my whip, baby. I don't need no gun. No cap, no. Keep him on track, you need to run. Baby, I run the whole gun. Bitch, I'm the youngest of the oldest. Shaver from the streets, now she rapping on the mobile. Stormzy call me queen, and I'm fat a little hobo. But do something, bozos. Look, I got proof in my photo. I'm on stop to claim where the streets know who I be. 40 racks on my chain, bitch, do it like me. I really own all the shit I put on my IG. So no one should ever call me that YG. Shit will be gang gang. The band sets the hashtag. No photos, bitch. I don't do the Snapchat. No cat man. Yes, welcome family. Karibuni to yet another beautiful episode of the Pan-African Bliss right here on the Black Fire Network Media for the 21st century. My name is Joby, and I hope you guys are doing amazing today. It being on a Tuesday, I hope you guys have doing amazing. And of course, karibuni sana to yet another beautiful episode. This is the Black Fire Network radio station, media for the 21st century. It's all about listening, engaging, and transforming. Shout out to everyone on Facebook, those who are on YouTube. Shout out to everyone listening to me via the radio station. I hope you guys can catch me loud and clear. And of course, remember to keep your comments, sentiments, anything you have, regarding what we shall be discussing today via the live stream. Karibuni sana once again. And of course, it is exactly 45 minutes past 12 p.m. right here in the 254. I believe I'm quite a little bit early today, but I hope you guys can be able to, catch up with me. And of course, keep your comments and sentiments coming, or rather, your thoughts on what we shall be discussing today. That is Shy Bo. And actually, I was introduced to this young, amazing lady. I was told she's Nigerian, but she actually relocated to the UK, and she's spitting bars, man. For me, she's spitting bars. I'm just like the bars, the beats, the producer. did the best. Literally, I'm really, really, really in love the way she's sinking into the beats, sinking into the vibes and everything. But of course, karibuni sana. For those who are just tuning in, let us know how you are doing today. How is your Tuesday morning coming along? For me, it is great. I can't complain. The weather today is also fair. It woke up a little bit chilly. It was raining in the morning. Can I say raining or drizzling? But yeah, I hope on your end you are doing amazing. Shout out to everyone who's just joining in. Kindly, as you tune in, remember to click that like button. As that for our today's discussion, before I get back into the music, we shall be focusing on I termed this as very simple. I don't know today. I've been coming with a simple title as much as I can, not to literally do it the way the media is doing it, literally copy pasting the titles. I try to literally rephrase them in the simplest ways I can. For me, it is all eyes on Africa and Africans. And the reason why I want to discuss about this, we have a lot of things going on. We're not talk about wars, distractions that have been going on in Africa, which we keep on talking about. Yesterday, we had a very deep conversation about the Chinese coming to Africa and literally how we've seen them taking over multiple of businesses and how they are so entitled right now, and they have been led literally wide openly, and things have been made so simple and smooth for them because of the puppet we have right here. We're talking about African representatives at a whole and a lot, but today my discussion shall be going into Ghana. We shall talk about Ghana. I know we had this discussion yesterday still on the Africa Today show about the collapsing of Ghana. We talked about the fish mining sector, which has been taken over. We spoke about Gambia. The same situation is happening literally the West Africa. And shout out to, I think it was Danny Harrison. He said, Orlando, he said that he's seeing literally West Africa dying of hunger in the next coming couple of years, because most of the people in the West Africa depend on, they literally eat fish a lot. So the moment we have these people taking over to the point where we have our fishermen going to other countries to look for fishes, this is already where we can see control over food. It has already been taken over, and this is actually part of what we want to talk about. I want to talk about what I saw, or rather what we had Dr. Arikana mentioning last week, and this was actually about the amount of land we have in Africa, which is arable. And nobody wants to talk about this. Every time we have to talk about inflation. But what about the 65% of the arable land that we have as Africa, as a continent? Who is literally using this? And what have we been using it for? Who is in charge of this? And why do we have Africans? Because still to date, we have Africans who are still fighting and scrambling back, literally, for their, still demanding to get their lands back. Talk about the people who fought for their freedom, literally right here in Africa. Nobody gets to talk about any of this. What happened, the history, like what saying the other day, we discussed about independence, but we're gonna see that none of this is literally being taught in history. We spoke about how we need to reset everything and much more. So yeah, we shall be discussing about that. And of course, you shall give me your thoughts regarding what we shall be discussing about right now. For now, getting back to one more banger. This is still by Shaibo. And like I said, kindly give me your thoughts about her. Personally, I feel like she's just spitting nothing but buzz. The first song I played, it's called let me see. The first song I played, it's called let me get that correctly, Streets. It's called Streets. And of course, I'll be playing the next song of her, which is called Dobale. And I think it's kind of some bit of Nigerian accent over there, which I do not understand what it means, but I'm sinking into the vibes and the beats. Kindly enjoy this. We shall be back with the quote of the day as we get straight started with the topic of today. This is Dobale by Shebo, and of course, we shall be back after this short musical break.
Reaching out to all the massive on the African continent. And you're tuning into the Pan-African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Joby, from Monday to Friday.
in the ghetto.
I was fighting with these bitches and stilettos. Queen of the South, call me the mayor. She talking head to the max, I got trainer. Got the power to make you go like Rainer.
Yes, and my quote of the day today says, you can't put a crown on a clown and expect a king. You can't put a crown on a clown and expect a king. This goes to our puppets. We've given them the crown, but they are clowns. Very simple.
Cause I got titty and body. Y'all just say one filthy, one cutie. Shaber, Otte, Obale, Obale. The queen has entered, Jack is so calent. Head of ballet, head of ballet. The queen has entered, Jack is so calent.
And I was born in the ghetto.
Give me love,
I was born in the ghetto.
fighting with these bitches and stilettos. I cannot believe that you try to try it with me. Can't you see that he ran shiny diamonds for free? Always looking sexy and baby, I'm looking clean. All these hating bitches, they ain't excited for me.
Ooh, she's sexy for real, man. You should check her out. She's called Shaibo and she's looking good as hell. She's spitting buzz and she's from Nigeria, but she relocated to, that is the UK. And of course, part of what we shall be discussing today, I'm glad that I actually played that. Part of what we shall be discussing today, that is Shaibo. The first song I played, like I said, it's called Street. The second song is called The Ballet. And maybe in case you are interested in more, kindly go check her out. Personally, I am checking her out and I'm loving her music. But karibuni sana, as we get started, like I said, my quote of the day today is, you can't put a crown on a clown and expect a king. And this goes to our puppets because, like I said, it's simple. We've given them the crown, but they are clowns, who've taken the crown, but we've not seen any sort of any example of leadership, anything that's what a king is supposed to do to ensure that the kingdom stays steady, remains steady, without collapsing and everything. We've not seen them doing any of that. As a matter of fact, we're talking about collapsing of countries, African countries. We're talking about sinking in debt. We're talking about subsidies. We're talking about wars. We're talking about destructions in terms of diseases and so many things, and it is so sad every day that we have to come up with so much negative bullshit going on in Africa, as much as which is, I'm not complaining, because I always say, if you don't discuss it, nobody is going to discuss this, and we need to address the real issues. We need to call the spade, like we always say, let the truth be spilled out. Like Keith was saying yesterday, say the truth and shame the devil. That's how simple our Africans were like to say the truth and shame the devil and all that. But if you look at our Africa, we're so distracted regarding what I shall be literally combining all together on what we want to talk about. These clowns need to be literally checked. They need to be checked correctly. And the youths are the ones who have actually this key to check in these clowns. That is how simple I'll call it. And I love the terms of today. We have the youths who have to take the key to the city and go check out these clowns, because they need to be out of these offices. They do not understand their roles. Shout out again to our deputy president, like we were saying yesterday, saying that, how do you come threatening the nation that you're not going to create any development in some of the counties just because we have members of the parliament who are not going to agree into your bullshit? And if you feel like this is a threat, you're like, no, I'm not going to make any from finance. We're not going to finance any bills here. And makes it even worse and says, when I was being appointed for me becoming a deputy president, I didn't know that actually I was being assigned to talking about anything to do with economics in a country. Most of us are dramatists. And I took the time and I'm like, wow, how do you call yourself a dramatist, especially as a man? You are in some underwear, satong or what? If it ain't some bad plugs, it's only something crazy just going on with these leaders. And it's enough. It's enough. And I don't want to get all worked up, all angry before I get started. So yeah, I want to start with what is going on in Africa. And this is actually regarding Kenya. I see actually we're being warned about the high cost of living, which is not a surprise to me, because these are part of the things we've been talking about, part of the things we saw a number of 1 to 3 people dying because of live bullets being used, which we said yesterday, it's a crime, not just in a country, but worldwide, using live bullets on peaceful demonstrators or protesters And none of this is literally, nobody is always held accountable for any of this. Nobody is always held accountable. The funny, crazy shit. So what is going on? I see in Kenya we've been warned about the high cost of living, where we need to be checking literally, in terms of sugar, how much we're gonna be buying this, ugali flour, cooking oil, and a lot of things. We've been told the cost of living might just remain the same, or things might even go higher, especially this month. Remember, we're supposed to be having the budget being read this particular month, so we're still waiting to see. Of course, nothing better is gonna come up. That is one thing for sure I can promise my fellow Africans, not just Kenyans. These puppets, these clowns keep on lying to us. We're gonna subsidizing things, keep on subsidizing products, and it doesn't help. Okay, it does not help. It's not helping in any way. But this is what is going on in Kenya. They're saying that you'll have to pay more for sugar, bread, rice, cooking oil, and these starting from this particular month. This is the month of June, and they're saying that gear up for higher prices of sugar, bread, eggs, rices, cooking oil, and other food items this month. And farmers and traders have been warned, citing high input and fuel costs, reduced local production, and high import prices. And the results of the Central Bank of Kenya, which is not controlled by us, okay? So we know what's going on here. And the agriculture sector survey conducted between May 9th and 12th and released last Friday showed that prices of major food commodities will remain high in June and will be the main drivers of inflation during the month. The main drivers of inflation during the month. And I go back to this article again. Shout out to Dr. Arikana. She said, Africa has 65% of the world's remaining uncultivated arable land, and an abundance of fresh water, and an abundance, even Google itself says it, an abundance of fresh water, and about 300 days of sunshine each year, which they're trying to literally block. They're trying to talk to us about the climate change right now and all the bullshit right now. So I'm asking, how is it that Africa, each and every African country, again, go back to the NGOs, the aid, which we keep on seeing, they are using in the name of now coming to exploit our women by literally raping them? We've seen children being kidnapped. Africa, we need help. Where do the children go? Every time we have these people popping in and out, something is happening. Who gets to address all of this? Our puppets, what have they done? The clowns, because we call them as they are. Our clowns. So they're saying that the survey assessed changes in wholesale and retail prices, expectation of changes in prices and output, and factors affecting the sector. And the survey found that the long rains between March and May were the main reasons for the fall in prices of short-term crops in such vegetables. Tomatoes in Gilgil and Naivasha said supplies from whatever they are saying, and all this bullshit, it's all lies. They know what they are doing. They know what they are doing. And Africa, this is where we need to be we need to be very woke, because I just actually also saw an article telling us we need to be very careful of the type of eggs we're consuming, because we've been talking about even genetically modified eggs, but it's not even that. They are even now contaminating the chickens with some certain chemicals which literally affect the eggs that they lay. So we're not consuming literally good eggs, and it's crazy. We need to be aware. We can't keep on literally sleeping. This is an effect on us, not on these people who do not give a shit about us. The moment you're gonna realize that these puppets do not really care, it's gonna be something very awesome for us as an African people worldwide. Because it's clear the Democrats in America do not care about the Black American people in America, and so on and so on and so on, like we see. And it's insane. It is insane. And this is why you see why Ghana or most of the African countries, we're being led to what I'm just about to talk about. We're being led to moving out of Africa because of how they have kept the conditions, or other the conditions. This a situation. No, the situations in certain conditions and in on purpose. They have led African people now to literally move out of Africa and look for greener pastures outside. Again, we've not been educated. These people, when we go outside, they're not our friends. We're told that these people are our friends. So when you go there, we face the racism. You're like, wow, what's going on? It's a culture shock to you because it's not what you are literally taught, or it's not literally what you know. I'll share this video and this article. This is a video actually I shared a couple of weeks ago. And I'll have to share it again because it relates with what I want to talk about. Where we have African doctors, literally, doctors who move from Africa, and I think we've seen most of them, it's Nigerians. They go to the UK and they don't get paid enough, literally. They are not paid enough. They are never paid enough. And apart from not being paid enough, these people, I bet they even go through so much. And something in me told me they could be even part of the people exploited to give majority of the people the big ugali shots personally, so that you can get you told them the higher the number of the people you target, the higher the pay. And because you come from a poor continent, you do that because you've been told it's a poor continent. Ghana has a complaint. It's complaining about its doctors leaving the country. And it's just recently we saw that we had children who died in incubators because of electricity being cut in some hospitals in Ghana. And we saw still the same country borrowing the IMF some money to bail itself out of financial crisis. How do you borrow loan how do you borrow loan on top of a loan to help yourself solve financial crisis? I mean, I may not be educated, but hey, make this make sense. How do you borrow a loan on top of a loan to help yourself solve financial crisis? Because it's debt you're piling up. And the moment you're going to even get your actual money, you're going to have to pay all this debt and you're going to remain with nothing. So you're going to still end up borrowing because you're used to debt. You used living off borrowing. And you have actually natural resources, which you've allowed the Chinese to take over because of the same debts. The same debts. So Ghana, we spoke about the electricity. That was last week. Right now we're talking about the nurses. This is in Ghana. In most of the African countries, you can say literally, Africans are being literally tuned and twisted in our minds, where we need to look for greener pastures outside here. And it's all because of these clowns we're talking about. These clowns are the masterminds of all this. They're the masterminds of literally organizing the passports, making it so easy for you to get that. It's funny how it is so easy for you to go to Saudi Arabia to become a domestic worker, feed babies, feed dogs, your breast and all that. But you can't get a passport to travel within your continent. Isn't it funny? It's crazy. What is it that they're hiding? What is it that they don't want you to know? This video I shared last week, I think it's last week or last week, but one, about the same situation that is going on with Nigerians, and this is actually with Africans. Now I want us to realize this is not just, this is actually where we need to understand about the division, like Keith keeps on saying it, we are all one people no matter where we go. We're going to be treated the same. They see us the same. They don't see you as a Ghanaian or as a Nigerian, as a Kenyan, as a Tanzanian, as a Ugandan, as a Rwandan, as a Burundi, as a Congolese. They don't care. You are black. And that's it. So let me share this video over here. My internet is kind of acting up. I don't know what's up. It's kind of slow. Very slow. Hope I'm gonna be able to share this. Let me see what's happening. Okay, anyway, as we wait for it to load, I think it's gonna take quite some time before it gets to load up and everything. Won't wait on that. So let me read this article of the Ghanaian of what is going of the Ghanans, rather in Ghana, what is going on. They're saying that there is the fear of literally nurses running away, and patients are in danger. And so, why do we have nurses running away from a country where you're supposed to be saving your own people? They're saying that the recruitment of nurses by high income countries from poor nations, Africa is poor. Ghana is poor. Being the number one gold supplier, this country is poor. Being the number one coffee supplier and cocoa, is it cocoa? Joe Mosquito, shout out to you. This country is poor. Make that make sense, okay? The recruitment of nurses by high income countries from poor nations is out of control. And according to the head of uh, one of the world's biggest nursing groups. And the comments came as the BBC finds evidence of how Ghana's health system is struggling due to the brain drain. And many specialist nurses have left the West African countries for better paid jobs overseas. In 2022, more than 1,200 Ghanaian nurses joined the UK nursing register, and this comes as the National Health Service increasingly relies on staff from the non-EU countries to fill vacancies. Although the UK says that the active recruitment in Ghana is not allowed, social media means nurses can easily see the vacancies, sorry. Oh shit. The vacancies available in NHS trustees, and they can then apply for those jobs directly. And the Ghana Director Economic Situation acts as a big push factor. Howard Carton from the International Council of Nurses is concerned about the scale of the numbers leaving countries like Ghana, and he says, my sense is that the situation currently is out of control. We have intense recruitment taking places, mainly driven by 6 or 7 high-income countries, but with recruitment from countries which are some of the weakest and most vulnerable, which can ill afford afford to lose their nurses and all that. So my question is, when I was reading this article, is why do you have nurses running away out of the country? When we're talking about a country which is talking about, like, for saving themselves out of debt, they need to take another loan. Question number one. Question number two, this is a country that has not allowed their people to see opportunities, but has allowed the Europeans to see the opportunity. Just yesterday, we're talking about Ghana again. It's the number one actually picture right now, I think, in Africa, highlighting all the types of bullshit right now. Okay, we're talking about apart from the debt, we spoke about the fish mining, and we saw how the Chinese have taken over and how they are ruling over. And I also read where the Africans from Ghana, who actually know that this is actually them who are supposed to be in control of it, they were like, the Chinese have taken over, but this is supposed to be ours. They have taken what is supposed to be ours. So I asked something very simple. If Africans do know what is really theirs, who's really preventing them from accessing what is theirs? Because what I picked from that is they are informed of their resources. They know they're supposed to be benefiting from fishing. They know because this is their way of surviving. But who is literally not allowing them? There's someone not allowing this path to pave through for African people. And it goes back to our clowns, because we give the crowns to the clowns who cannot become kings, and a clown cannot be a king. Those are the puppets, and that's what's up. HR Karibu Sana, I see you. Hope you're doing amazing. And to the rest of the people who are also joining us for this video, I think I'm not gonna be able to play it. But if you go check my previous show, I did actually show this video, and it was talking a lot. This Nigerian guy was explaining how they are exploited, how they're not well paid, and all that. Let me see if I can play it. really play it.
And working extremely long hours in a private hospital with potential consequences, he says, for patients' health. Today,
Because it was a prison to be like coming back. So we're close, guys. God, this is the part where I feel really, really tense. We're like, oh God, I'm coming back to this prison again. Because it was a prison to be coming back again to this place.
Dr. Augustine is a Nigerian doctor who came to the UK 2 years ago. His recruitment by a British company called NES Healthcare meant working extremely long hours in a private hospital, with potential consequences, he says, for patients' health. Today, he's taken me back to that hospital in the UK that he says almost broke him.
It's my room over there, the fourth floor. Out there. Yeah, you can see the windows open. So there's a doctor up there right now doing the same job I was doing. I still feel anxious because, I can't explain what it means like just being confined to this place for 7 days, 24/7. Every day I work in this hospital, I always thought that something could go wrong.
Augustine is one of 9,500 Nigerian doctors licensed to work in the UK. Recruitment from abroad has never been higher, with 40% of doctors trained overseas.
I would wake up at 6:30, be on the ward at 7, and it was an 80-bed hospital.
And I think this is so relatable with the video I shared of that Jamaican lady who said, if you looking forward to go to this, if you're looking forward to go outside the African continent, be ready to be a slave, okay? Because you will overwork. You'll die, reincarnate. I pick our words again. Die, reincarnate, come back. Still, you'll keep on being a slave to these people. So you decide what you want.
So I was looking after all of the patients on the ward, outpatient, the CT and X-ray, and I'll be working from 7 up until 11.
At night?
Yeah, at night. And I would think that I'm meant to go to bed, just get some rest. But then when you go to bed, you get a call, all patients complain about
And you'll
this.
not see any of these puppets responding to any of these accusations. Literally, they're always going to be in denial. And there's always evidence, but these puppets are always going to deny. Every time we have Africans complaining of how they're being treated outside the continent, nobody comes and in defense of them. It's always actually, we are the problem. We are taking our behaviors outside the continent. What behaviors? Of me being African? Me being African? How is that a behavior of being African? Being African? How did being African? Actually, these are things also. They always say this. How is being African a behavior? That is something else I think I've grown up also listening to. Oh, you're acting African. You're acting. What do you mean I'm acting African? I am African. What do you mean I am acting African? What is that even supposed to mean? Give me a break.
And your sleep is ruined, so I'm not able to sleep again up until 7 again. And the cycle continues for 1 week.
But how do some of these doctors get here? Newsnight has been investigating the story for months. We've discovered a scandal about large-scale recruitment and exploitation of foreign doctors in the UK that reaches as...
I'm just talking about Ghana right now. This is Nigeria. We have the same case in Kenya because I remember 2 of my cousins who did medicine were actually looking forward for this recruitment. I remember, and I think I also I highlighted about it a little bit sometime last year or 2021, something like that. So this is something they're doing on purpose right here in Africa. They're doing it right here on purpose, right here in Africa, recruiting African doctors. And there's much more deeper than just this recruitment, and which I think I'm going to do more investigation into it. These doctors they're not just exploited. They're not just being literally overworked. They're not just enslaved. There's much more, I bet, which even could lead to mental illness.
high as the British government. Nigeria
This is the situation in Nigeria. Look at, oh my God. Look at the image of Africa, you guys. Let me enlarge my screen. This is just so disgusting. This is what they're trying to make us run away from after putting us in this situation on purpose. You kept in this situation on purpose. They give you fucked up education. They chill you keep on waiting on Jesus. The best thing, and actually this shit does not make sense. The best thing you can ever have in this world is being saved. Just have Jesus in your life. That's the best thing you can ever have in this life. But what about living in sewages? Don't you think that is not good? No, it's good. You just keep on waiting on Jesus. He's going to help you. All the kingdom of wealth and everything you need, the gold, it's all in heaven. Do you know how stupid we've been? If only the rest of us can wake up and realize all these lies we've been kept under. Lands have been grabbed and they have built slums on purpose for people to, as they, God. Oh my God. They make you grow in shit, give you expensive education, and still you won't get a job in your own country.
Nigeria's economic hub, Lagos, is a mix.
This is now normal. Do you know this is why we need our own media again. This is not something that is supposed to be shown to the world. These are disgrace. People moving in boats, children moving in boats. What if you die and suffocate in this shit? Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. No. Not being boasty. I think I've grown around ghetto and everything, but being around sewages and all that was not my shit. It was not my thing. So I can't even try imagine now this one. And the kind of ghetto we have even in Kenya is not this type. These people swimming in boats. In boats. Oh my God. Like you have a boat, you have to move by boat because of sewage. Literally, no water drainage that has been created. And it's all on purpose. The funny, crazy thing. And this is normal. And the mainstream media shows all this. This BBC, for crying out loud, showing this. If we had our own media, where we're controlling our own shit, we should not be showing this. This is something we should be dealing with literally without them knowing what we're doing. But because we want to keep on showing this is why you can... oh my God. So
oil-driven wealth and life-shortening poverty. Most here be 54. Just 5 miles from the center, Makoko, a floating city where some people...
Even 54 would be actually a grace by the universe, my God. If you live in up to 54 in that shit, 54 years, that is the grace of the universe, nothing else, literally. You just a favored, lucky person. That is how simple I'd call it. Because not only are you inhaling dirty air, you're living on a dirty environment. You're breathing in and out this shit. Your lungs literally probably have changed. They're all sewage. Oh my God. 54. You are lucky. That's for real. For real,
Never
for real.
seen a doctor.
Doctor Nigeria now they are traveling abroad.
I don't even think last time I literally shared this whole video like this. I didn't see this rest of the part. I just shared that important, the first part of that guy talking about how they're mistreated and everything.
The salary they are collect every month is not reached anywhere. That is why they are traveling. They go abroad.
It's a brain drain that's worsening each year. The World Health Organization has stepped in, compiling a list of poor countries with healthcare shortages, from where the rest of the world should never actively recruit doctors.
Wow, the World Health Organization. Okay. Let's
The British
continue.
government incorporated that list into its own code. They call it the Red List, effectively making Nigeria a no-go area for British medical recruiters. However, here in the city, we found hundreds of young doctors.
It's funny how, listen, this is funny, okay? Actually, this is funny. They want to make Nigeria a no-go zone for medical recruiters, but they won't make Nigeria a no-go zone for being still them not. They don't want to let go of the oil. They don't want to make Nigeria a no-go zone for the oil, for the children that keep on disappearing, the persons, the adults that keep on disappearing. They don't want to make Nigeria a no-go zone when it comes to elections, where we can't, like, we need to conduct our own elections as African people. They don't want to make, like, let me say generally, Africa a no-go zone, not just to medical recruitment. Why can't you make Africa a no-go zone for everything? Like for everything, every project. But no, you fund every project. You come, and now after the truth is being exposed of your agenda, you come try defend yourself. You're like, nah, these are this favors you, these are it favors them, and these are we're gonna work on it. Always excuses and blame games. Till when? Until when? And this is a question you need to ask ourselves as African. If you can see that, you can see, and the funny shit is, we are ignorant on purpose. At this point, if you've seen the truth on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever platform you're using, on TikTok, you've seen all this truth and you're being ignorant, that is on you. This is on you. Actually, I'd not even help such a person. Oh, I'm stuck, I need some help, or they took my visa, there's no way I can come back now to Africa. You help yourself. You help yourself. And this is how you always know that the universe is always speaking to us. We've been given so much information, and you'd pick from your intuition if you know how to listen to them. We've been given so much information about our no-go zone areas, without even people telling us, like, hey, don't come here, don't go to the UK, don't go to Canada. This how life is. This how the situation is. This the type of racism you're gonna face. Still, nobody wants to put an ear into that. You want to, like, nah, let me go face it. Maybe the situation is going to be different for me. A few lucky people do not. A few lucky people literally escape that. But majority of us, we are very wanted. We are very, very wanted outside here. You heard of the melanin productivity, what it does to them. These are gold. You literally, not only are they stealing your raw materials, but you as a person, as a Black person, you should know you just literally, I don't know how to explain this, okay? Let me just continue.
Queuing for what's called a Professional and Linguistic Assessments Board test, or PLAB 1, a first step to practice in the UK. And here's the thing, the exam is set by the General Medical Council in London. And the people you see in blue bibs work for the British Council, which is sponsored by the Foreign Office and is overseeing the exam. It was made clear we weren't welcome.
Do you know why this is going to be so impossible? Actually, I pick very quickly as you get closer to winding up with this. I pick this very quickly. It's going to be so impossible to not allow the British recruitment or recruiters to come and take African youngsters who have done medicine, from Africa. It's going to be so hard for you to prevent them because, one, let's talk about the embassies. Let's talk about independency. Can Africa dictate anything for itself at this point? No. Ghana, can it dictate anything for itself right now? No. Show me just one African country that can dictate anything for itself, or none. All of them have to bow down and listen. You have to be summoned. Secondly, that is independency. Come to the embassies. We have the British embassy. We have the Ukraine embassy. We have the Russia embassy. We have the Chinese embassy. We have all the types of embassy in just each and every one African country. Not one, not two. Each and every African country, we have all types of embassies. I used to walk around and see these embassies and I'm like, Kwani, we have these people here. At this point, I was not educated about nothing. So I was like, okay, wow. So we have these people here. Okay. Kwani we also have we also have the Chinese. Kwani these people are just, all of them are here. All of them are just in Africa. I'm like, okay, that's none of my business. But apparently it is my business at this point. It is my business. Because this is how we allow them to come and settle in Africa. We have embassies which can talk on their behalf. We have embassies, literally, this is how this setup was set up. The embassies can literally defend these people because, come on, pick it up very quickly. Why don't we have Africa embassy in China? Why don't we have Africa embassy in Russia, in Ukraine? Why don't we have Africa embassy in Europe, in UK, in Canada? Why don't we have Africa embassy anywhere? Actually, come to think of it, but they don't have Africa embassy nowhere. But we have the Chinese embassy, the Russia embassy, the Ukraine embassy, the USA, all of them. But we don't have the Africa embassy nowhere. Nowhere in these countries. And this is actually very simple, because why? When we had the Russia and Ukraine invasion, we saw very clearly how Nigerians, literally most of the Africans, how they were straining so hard to come back into their country. Most of them came back in corps. Still, most of them are still being recruited, I don't know, from most prisons and all that. We still see bodies coming back. And none of our puppets could say anything because, one, we do not have Africa embassy in Ukraine or Russia. Okay, but because we have Russia embassy, Ukraine embassy, and all these here in Africa, each African country, every time, even the India embassy, oh my God, every time, this actually makes sense. Every time we have any of them attacked, you see Africans responding, because these embassies, I think they were set up here to be a easy response to defend their people every time they are attacked in Africa. Like, it's a easy target. It's an easy way to come after African people, because they have their organization set here which works in favor of their people, not us. Not us. Not us African people. Not you as a Kenyan, not as a Tanzanian, not as a Ugandan. Ever think of it, by the way, this has never clicked my mind till to date. We don't have the African embassy nowhere. But we have all these types of embassies in each African country. Does that click a bell to you? Literally. Makes sense. So this is why you not see the puppets stepping in the UK and talking about this recruitment of the young people who have done medicine in Africa. This is why you not see any puppet raise a voice. Because we have the embassies. You do not have any embassy. We do not have any Ghanaian or Nigerian embassy in the UK. So who are you to talk? Who's going to stand for your people here? You can't stand for your people. I speak, you shut up. That's what's up.
We've
Now,
just
this
been
makes
thrown
sense.
out
Oh
of
my
the car
God.
park of the examination hall, and it was the British Council who threw us out. And they said, it's just not good to have you here. And they said it's about the candidate's privacy. But I wonder if it's also to do with the fact that they know that Nigeria is on the red list and they just don't want to be associated with the brain drain.
3 hours later, the candidates emerge into the Nigerian sunshine.
Where do you want to go if you succeed?
I want to go to the UK.
UK. I want fulfillment in my craft. I want to get to, the NHS has a working system, and that's what I want.
In London, we described what we'd seen to the British Medical Association, the trade union for doctors in the UK.
Is the British government complicit, do you think, in active recruitment?
Certainly they will be aware if the British Council is enabling mass scale taking of the PLAB exam. It would be, I think, misleading for the Department of Health and Social Care to say that they did not know about this. Indeed, they are trying to take some active steps with the code of practice.
Of course, they knew. Thank you. They knew. They know everything they are doing in Africa. They knew. These people are not stupid. They know what they are doing. They know, and there's nothing else you can tell me. They know, period.
To discourage it.
But they know this is a red list country, don't they?
Absolutely.
And yet this is overseen by the British Council, which is funded by the Foreign Office.
Absolutely. So there's an element of one hand giving in the code of practice and the other hand taking away.
The Department for Health and Social Care rejects that and says responsibility for arranging PLAB exams lies with the GMC, which is independent of government.
Wow.
Remember Augustine, the doctor from the start of this report? Well, it was whilst he was studying for the second part of those PLAB exams here in the UK that he was approached by NES Healthcare, the company behind me, and later offered visa sponsorship and a potential job. It sounds like that's a breach of the government's code of practice on no active recruitment from red list countries. NES says it's not because the company's not a recruitment agency and the doctors it engages with have already committed themselves to working in the UK anyway. But a spokesman for the Department of Health and Social Care told us that the code does apply to NES and so it's in breach of it.
Augustine had signed a contract with NES that opted him out of the Working Time Directive.
Do you think that you were so tired that there was a potential that you weren't doing the best or weren't delivering the best care for the patients?
Yes, and that was my worry, because I knew that working tired puts the patients at risk and puts myself also at risk as well for litigation and other things. So
well, as I wind up, what I'd say from this is, as an African person, if you do not realize that your puppets do not give a shit about you. Actually, I love the way I feel like I've concluded that video. I don't even want to go further because of just what I realized. You know, it makes sense right now. All of it. It makes sense. All of it. It makes sense. Why you see Africans struggling to get help from these other countries, or rather still the same people, because you won't tell me the UK government does not know about the recruitment of African, the students who have done medicine in Africa. You know, you won't tell me they don't know about that. They know about that. They know the situation in Africa, the situation they are part of, making Africa look, you know, and they still offer you those type of opportunities. And the funny shit is, they offer you the opportunities. When you get there, they treat you like shit. Because perfect example is, I'm just here questioning myself, like, okay, you give recruitments, but you go treat people like shit. Like you tell students to take scholarships and all that, but you're still gonna treat people like shit at the end of the day. So what's the need? What is the need? That is one of the biggest questions I'm asking myself here. Now, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Okay? And however they're benefiting from this, I'd want to get deeper to it, because I believe there is much deeper than just the recruitment. I believe it comes heavy. There's more than just the recruitment, more than just the exploitation. And I asked myself again, very simple, why is it that we have Chinese embassy?
Why do you think they got all the nurses from Kenya?
It's crazy.
Why they took the nurses from Kenya? They keep your part. They rob from the country. They call you stupid, but they need your doctors and your nurses too.
I know the other agenda. Yeah, the other agenda. I know the other agenda, which we'll not discuss.
So now they're taking you out. So now your people don't have enough doctors and nurses in your own continent, because not just Kenya and Nigeria, it's continent wide they do that. Mm-hmm. Then you have embassies, Joby, in other countries. You got a Kenyan embassy in Britain. It's not staffed well.
Yeah. No, I'm speaking. This is how it should be. It shouldn't be Kenyan. It shouldn't be.
That's
Nigerian. It should be African.
It should be, but it's not, because you're not. How's it gonna be African when you're not united? You're not united in Kenya. You got two corrupt ass tribes that run Kenya. You got a tribe that run Nigeria. So
this is where these fools need to come and realize that literally this is the reason why we cannot be protected, or we don't have protection outside the continent. Exactly. And the reason why they don't have a say every time we are We have our lives risked out.
You're correct. Remember the Kenyans going to the Saudi Arabian Kenyan embassy, begging the Kenyan embassy in Saudi Arabia, please help us get this out of here. Kenyan embassy had no power. The women were begging. They were being raped, beat, exploited.
True.
What did the Kenyan embassy do? Absolutely nothing. These are the Kenyan women. They're fucked up. These Kenyan women are fucked up. The Saudi Arabian people are such good people.
It makes sense.
Exactly.
You know, speaking of unity, unity is power. And if
Yes,
you're speaking of
Joby,
power,
you just
oh my
got
God.
it. Yes.
Unity
Power.
is power.
Yes.
Because if let's say we have 56 countries in Africa.
I don't count them Arab countries. Go ahead.
But imagine if the whole continent, the way we are as a whole, coming up together, just because we have, leave alone now the division of the tribalism and all that, Kenya and all that. Still with the divisions, the fact that we just need to realize, even in the smallest, okay, without else realizing, we need to drop the tribalism and all that. Only they realized
your unity is your power.
Exactly, coming together as Africa, despite our division, where we can be able to protect ourselves outside the continent, we can be able to defeat these people easily because we have power as a continent, and we can say no to their demands.
That's why everybody fights against your what? Your unity. That's why everybody fights against it.
I feel sick with just the puppets. I call them the clowns. Today's quotes of the day just impressed me.
That's a quote.
You can't put a crown on a clown and expect a king. This is what we have, with the puppets. We give them the crown.
They destroyed the African way you gathered leaders. These guys are not leaders. That's not the African. You had to prove yourself as a protector of society to even become an African leader. They put their fake democracy in the way they can put their puppets in. So it's not, Africa never, and it's funny, till you get the European, Africa never had bad leadership. It's considered one of the greatest places for leaders, men and women. So till you got lost control of Africa, you got puppet at the puppet because they're all corrupt. They're all criminal minded. You get the weakest individual mentally and put them on that throne. And so all the stealing and the graft and the non-development and the poverty happens in Africa. That's on purpose. So like you said, see, ding, ding, ding. They know why you think the Europeans said when everybody was getting independent, hey, we don't need you niggas to be united. That's why they got rid of Kwame Nkrumah. Said, as African people, we must get rid of these fake borders that the white man, but we must come together as African people or we will not survive.
This way,
get rid of his ass.
It makes sense because this way you see like a country like, let's say, Ukraine, Russia, China, they're able to stand up as a country or as a whatever they are, say no to some things, because one day they don't have those divisions we have, like, those small divisions, because they consider themselves as one people. They can come up and say like, no, we don't need this. As much as they're gonna be war, because who are you to say no? We are people controlling this world, but still it shows if only Africa we can have that type of example, we can be able to defeat and we can be able to overcome a lot of things.
Ding, 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 ding.
School is over.
Hey, I'm saying,
but anyway,
you learned the lesson. That's right. And the more intelligent you become, the more common sense you have. Like you said, your unity is your power. Exactly. Everybody knows that, Joby. Ding, ding, ding. Welcome to the world. Everybody knows your unity is your power. That's why I'm fighting against your unity.
That's what's up. But anyway, you popped in too late. I think I'll be wrapping it up there.
I'm letting you go. I woke up and caught the end. Calm down.
It's okay. It's okay. But much love, family. For those who shall be catching this on a replay, give us your thoughts on this particular conversation.
Shout out to us for reaching over 6,000 subs this week. So much love to us.
Shout out to all the subscribers.
So, because Joby said, I don't know what the hell is going on here.
I don't know what the hell especially with this Instagram.
I laughed my ass off Yes, they drive, and then she was so. I don't know what the hell is going on. It was hilarious.
Trust me, tomorrow, the next day, or a couple of months, we're gonna be waking up to 100 followers, 100,000 followers, and you're like, "What's going on, man? You know, who's trending where? You know." But anyway, much love, family. See you guys on the Africa Today show. Remember, Katie is next to the African Diary, but of course, we shall be having HR and Kamlesh with the Black Kings Frequency show, and I hope you guys get to tune in and see what's up with today's conversation from them. And so, peace and much love. Keith, I think I'll call you after Katie's show, so
Okay.
we can
We
know
talk about
how
what,
they.
what they gonna do. What they gonna start doing outside. We got to start structuring that. Okay, Joe.
Yeah. So much love. See you guys on the Africa Today show. As for me, peace.
And me, peace to everybody. And I don't know what the hell is going on.
Please. Leave me away alone.
I spent 3 racks on the chains and racks on my wigs. That's why I'm looking better than your bitch. My nigga, I'm lit. I don't need a gangster, I'm one. 10 racks, I got 300. I got drip for my HG, baby. South 50, baby. I'm cheeky, baby. If you want me to show up, then make me big.
Yes, my name, reaching out to all the massive on the African continent. And you're tuning into the Pan Show with your host, not other than Jovi.
That's why I'm looking better than your bitch. My nigga, I'm lit. I don't need a gangster, I'm one. You got 10 racks, I got 300 further. I got 300, I'm legit, baby. I got drip for my HG, baby. South 50, baby.
Don't make it, baby.
If you want me to show up, then make me big. You can study one more talking, let's wear the do nothing.
Rockefeller. I see Jiba Jaba Karibu Sana, but of course, Tena again, Kwaheri. See you on the Africa Today show. For me, my time is up right here. I wrap it up. Maybe you catch this on a replay. And of course, thank you for checking in with us today. Have an amazing, productive morning on your end. Peace.
Take charge when you ain't the plug. You know who I be. I don't need no buzz. Bitch try to take me for a mug. I'm a deck on the road like a bus. I be